Studying is difficult. I know. In fact, majority of students, including you, find this process so difficult. Am I correct? It becomes so intense when your lecturer or teacher gives you a lot of materials to read and textbooks to cover. And you do ask yourself, how in the world will I study all this and still remember in exams? At this point, I want you to calm down because there is a solution. I'll dish out study advice that no one has ever told you, which will help you study less and remember more. But before then, if you really want to improve yourself as a student that you are, right here on this channel, I drop in valuable information that can help you study well and pass your exam exceedingly. And if that sounds like something you are interested in, please consider subscribing to my channel right now. The very first study advice I will tell you as a student that has actually helped me also to pass my exam exceedingly and study less is to have a plan. Now, whenever you want to study, have a plan in order to get rid of any confusion that will happen whenever you want to start studying. Always have a plan. And when I mean by you should have a plan, you planning your study surrounds three things. Number one, where you should study. Number two, when you should study. Number three, what you should study. Now, when you should study has to do with the time. Always allocate a particular time when you should study and a day. When you do this, you won't confuse yourself whenever you want to read. You won't have to start thinking of the time you should study or the day you should study because it has been written down. It's very important to write it down when you should study. And at that point, where you should study, the location you will be studying, is very important to allocate a particular location. Is it in your room? Is it in your lecture room? Is it in your library? You should have a particular location that you should study. And number three, what you'll be studying at that location and the time you allotted. It's very important to have a goal. You should set a goal on what you should study, because by the time, if you don't have a goal, you just carry a book and you start thinking that what should I do now? Or whenever you have a thought that you want to read, you start thinking that, okay, what should I read now? But if you set that aside, if you plan before, you have a direction on what you should do at a particular time and what you will read at that particular time. Another study advice that I will tell you as a student to practice whenever you want to study or whenever you want to start studying, you should become a teacher. First of all, whenever you really want to study a particular material at the first instance, always have it in your mind that you want to teach something you are reading to someone. You having that in your mind will actually push you and make you seek to understand that material very well in which you teach someone. And also, as soon as you study it, try to teach someone. There are two things that can happen when you try to teach someone what you just studied. Number one, it will help you understand that thing more, and it will help in recalling that particular information if you do not carry any book with you while you are trying to teach someone. So I will advise you students, anytime you want to study or by the time you finish studying, look for anyone around to teach what you just studied, and it will help you remember that information more and it will help you to recall. But I will advise you not to carry anything while you are trying to teach that person what you just studied. Another advice that I will tell students to inculcate is to distribute your learning. I've said this a lot of times on this channel and I'll still be saying it. Learn to distribute your learning over a period of time. When you repeat your learning over that distributed period, you'll be able to remember what you read more, and you understand more of the informations that you read. And even it will enhance learning in a way that you'll be able to recall what you've learned before, and you'll be able to learn the present thing you are learning right now. But if you study back to back in a very short period of time, there's a high tendency that you will forget, and it is not an efficient way of learning. Another study advice I would tell students to start inculcating is to always test yourself. The study advice is testing effects. Always test yourself. There are several ways you can test yourself. And according to my last point, when I said that you have to distribute your learning, within that period of distribution, always test yourself at intervals, because it will actually enhance the information that you've read, and it will reduce the tendency of you forgetting that information, and also it will actually strengthen the information and you'll be able to recall easily whenever you are in the exam hall. So it's very important to test yourself, and there are several ways I would recommend test yourself. The very first thing that I use most of the time is that I actively recall what I read. What I mean by active recall is that whenever you read a particular material at the very first time or several times, you just walk around and try to visualize what you've read in your brain. Try to visualize. If you can visualize those information quite well, that means you've actually learned a particular material, and there's a very high tendency that you will not forget. But if you can't actually declare that memory at will, or if you can't remember most of those things while you are recalling, then it's very important for you to go back and learn that particular material again and also test yourself. So that's what I do. I make sure that I actively recall what I read by visualizing while I walk around. Another way you can test yourself is to set questions while you are reading. While you are reading, try to set questions for yourself and just close your book and answer those questions. If you can answer those questions quite well, that means you will remember most of those things that you read, or you've actually learned most of those things. But if you can't actually recall or answer those questions quite well, then it's very important for you to go back to your notes and read again. Another advice I'll give to students that no one has ever told you is that you don't have to study for long hours. At times I see students study for 6 hours, and I tend to ask myself, like, does that really matter? Or like, do you have to study that long? So you should know that you should understand that you don't have to study for that long. You can study for 10 minutes, and that 10 minutes can be very productive than someone that studied for 12 hours or 6 hours or 5 hours. So, and the most important thing while you are studying is not about how long you study, but how well you paid attention to wherever you are studying at that particular moment. It's very important. So what is important is attention. No matter how long you study, even if you study for 2 minutes, so far you paid attention to whatever you are doing at that particular moment. It's very important that someone that studied for 6 hours and didn't pay full attention. So you don't have to force yourself. So far your friend is studying that long, don't copy your friend because you are different. So thank you so much for watching. You can check this video on how to study if you don't like studying. So, and also please don't forget to, if you got so much value from this video, please don't forget to smash the like button and also like the video. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.